to the second session of the course Finite Element Method for Beginners. In this course, we will be dealing with finite element method overview. We start the session with the finite element analysis types. We will see what are the different capabilities of finite element analysis. Then we will discuss the different types of elements in the FEM that we can use for analyzing any field problem, and finally we will be discussing what are the different steps in finite element analysis. So let us begin this session. The most common finite element analysis is linear static analysis. In case of linear static analysis, we assume two things. One is that the analysis assumes that stress is directly proportional to strain, even though we may have this type of stress strain curve, but we assume that stress is directly proportional to strain, and the result will show no failure of the component, but only the value of stresses will be represented in red where the stresses are maximum, even though the value of stress is well beyond the ultimate strength of the material. The second thing which is there in linear static analysis is that we assume that force is constant with respect to time, though we are increasing force, but it is very slow, gradually applied load, and that is why for practical purposes we assume that force is static, no change, it's not changing with time. In non-linear static analysis, non-linearity is considered. It may be because of this material properties, stress-strain relationship, or geometry, or contact problems are also part of the non-linear analysis. Dynamic and transient analysis, when we talk about the vibration problem, which is modeled like this in the the solution of such type of equation is done here in transient dynamic or transient analysis, and we call it as model analysis. Buckling analysis is for columns, long columns. You can find out what is the crippling load in the case of column. Thermal analysis to find out the temperature distribution and heat flow. Fatigue analysis is done when we have the fluctuating load, maybe completely reverse load or the alternating load, and the design equations are on the basis of the endurance limit, that is endurance limit or Soderberg equation, Goodman criteria, Gerber criteria, or modified Goodman criteria, like this. Do the optimization analysis. This optimization can be on the basis of geometrical parameters, or shape optimization can also be done. In CFD, we analyze fluid static problem and fluid dynamics problem. Crash analysis for crash applications, and finally acoustic analysis. This list of analysis is not the end where the finite element method is used, but the application is endless. We can classify elements on the basis of the dimension of the problem. It can be 1D element, the bar element, and beam element are most commonly used. In case of bar element, we have two noded bar element where the displacement field variable can be represented by, for eth element, this is ith node and jth node. It can be represented by ui and uj. For three noded bar element, we can make it as I, J, k and the field variable ui, uj and uk. So this is element number eth element. In case of beam element, the field variables are ui, wi and wj for ith and jth node respectively, and also we have theta I and theta j for slope. It means this is 2 degree of freedom per node, and for eth element the total degree of freedom will be 4. So this is how, and in this is how we can define the degree of freedom per element, and this is the degree of freedom per node. In this case, the degree of freedom per node is 1 and degree of freedom per element is 2. In this case, degree of freedom per node is 1 and degree of freedom per element is 3. Now coming to the 2D element. In case of 2D element, we have this triangular element and rectangular element. In case of triangular element, we can have this type of element, and this is known as constant strain triangle, CST, or linear element. We can also have this type of element with 6 nodes, and this is linear strain triangle. The LST form is used in softwares. So this is quadratic triangular element, this is linear triangular element, and here also it is linear 1D element and quadratic 1D element. The 2D element can also be in the form of quadrilateral like this. We can have this type of element for 2D problem. It is linear 4-noded element and represented by L4, and then we have this 8-noded element, the quadratic element, and we use P8 in most of the softwares. Likewise, we have the 3D elements. The 3D elements can also be from this family, triangular family, and can also from this quadrilateral family. So if we have this type of element, this is known as tetrahedral element, and it is 4-noded tetrahedral, and this is linear tetra. Also we can have 10-noded tetrahedron where we have this type of structure: 1 2 3 4 5 and 1 2. okay, this is also like this, and 10. So we have 10-noded tetrahedron. Similarly, we can have brick element. This is the quadrilateral family, that is hexahedron element. If we have all corner nodes, as in other cases, we have this 8-noded hexahedron, or sometime we call it as brick element. If we have the mid side nodes, then it is a 20-noded hexahedron. So it is 20-noded hexahedron. We also call it as a quadratic hexahedron. So this is how we can classify different elements. So if we quickly revise what we have discussed in our first session and this today's session, we have discussed that the partial differential equations are used for mathematical modeling of any physical phenomena. And then we discussed in this session what are the different types of analysis that we can do using finite element method. And now let us try to see what are the different steps that we have to follow for analyzing any physical phenomena through finite element method. So first step in the finite element method is the discretization. So as we know that discretization is nothing but it is dividing the domain into small domain, and those subdomains are called as element. So it means we are dividing the complete domain with the help of elements, and the type of element or the selection of element depends largely on two things. What is the dimension of the problem? If it is 1D problem, we have to go for 1D element, 2D element and 3D element, depending on what is the dimension of the problem, as we have discussed the different elements type in our previous slide. The selection of element also depends on how much accuracy we want from our analysis. So that also gives a guideline for selecting the element. The next step is the shape functions, selection of shape functions. We have discussed in our basic fundamentals of finite element method. Finite element method is an approximation method where field variable is approximated by some polynomial. Now this polynomial can be, let us say we can write it as C1 plus C2x for linear 1D element. We can find out values of these constants depending on the conditions that are available for the element. These functions, these field variable for element, we can convert in form of some other functions, and those functions are called as shape functions, that we will see in our coming sessions. That here this is what we have assumed a polynomial for our field variable. This is after discretization we get this field variable for eth element, and this field variable we can represent in this form, where ni is the shape function for node I, and this is the shape function for node j, where this ni is a function of nodal coordinates. So this is how the shape function, and we can select these shape functions so that this satisfies some conditions of polynomial and represent the field variable in a true sense. So this is about the shape functions. We have different properties of the shape function, the selection, the method to write shape functions, that we will be discussing in our coming sessions. The third step in finite element method is to write element equation. This we have discussed that when we develop or discretize any domain into subdomains known as elements, then we write governing equation or those partial differential equation that is governing that domain for a small element. And when we apply this governing equation to a small element, we use some method to do that, and that is the backbone of the finite element method. And there are different methods to convert the governing equation into finite element equation. we call it as finite element formulation. We formulate the problem after converting this governing equation into finite element form, and the equation developed for a single element is known as element equation. And there are different methods to do that. The most popular methods are, first is the direct method. The straightforward, possible only for very simple problems, because we need to use basic fundamentals of the statics in case of stress analysis, the heat transfer in case of heat transfer problem, and so on. So that is why it is only possible for very simple problems. So another method which is commonly used is the virtual work principle, that is virtual work principle. Variational method is also used. Variational approach, we use weighted residual method. There are number of weighted residual method, and or we can use the Galerkin method as one of the weighted residual technique. This is one of the weighted residual technique. We can use energy method. So we will be discussing in this course direct method for simple problems and Galerkin method for field problems. So fourth step in FEM is assembly of element equation. And in the assembly of element equation, what we do, we derive the element equation for all elements in the domain, and we assemble all those element equation in a proper way, so that the contribution of each and every element is properly placed for the complete domain. And finally what we get from this is known as system equation. So we will be using this term system equation when we assemble all elemental equation into one particular equation, and that is known as a system equation. Though one equation will be in matrix form, so there are n number of algebraic equation in the system equation, and they are formed, represented in matrix form to represent one equation known as this system equation. The next step in FEM is apply boundary conditions. So boundary conditions are essential, otherwise you cannot solve these system equations. So we have to eliminate the rigid body movement condition from the system equation. Singularity is to be removed, and then that can be done when we apply boundary conditions, and then we can solve in our next step. This solution can be achieved or can be done through any of the standard solution method to solve these algebraic equations. So Gauss elimination method is the simplest one. We can use other methods as well depending on the problem specifications or the type of system matrix we are going to get. The last step here is the post processing. So post processing is nothing but it is manipulating the result, because when we solve this problem, the structure of the system equation is like that we get field variable, means in case of stress analysis problem we get displacement of nodes as result. So if we get displacement of node as result, we have to find out the stresses in general. We are interested in looking at what is the value of stress at a point, where is the location of the point where stresses are maximum. So generally we deal with the stresses. We are not interested in the displacement in general. So what we have to do? We have to first convert this displacement into strains, and then the strain is to be converted into stress. So this all is called as post processing. So these are the complete steps that we have to follow in our finite element analysis. So in the next session we will be discussing how to develop element equation using direct method. Thank you all the viewers for attending the session. Thanks a lot.